welcome to another edition of Reading with Rockfish. Nice to see you. Thank you so much for joining me. It's me, SL Rockfish. Glad you're here. So happy to see you. Hope everyone's enjoying their summer. If where you live, it's summer. If it's where you live, it's winter. I hope you're enjoying your winter. But where I live, it's summer. And I like to do a lot of things in summer. But we have the year 2020 and there's not a whole lot you can do but hang out at home and do some things closer to home. What I used to love to do was go to the zoo, and now I have a grandson and I want to go to the zoo, to see the monkeys and the giraffes and the zebras. I got all these friends here and I was like so excited to take them to the zoo. And we went to the zoo and it was nice, but it was really quiet because you can't go in the buildings and you can only, you have to wear a mask, which I'm okay with wearing the mask and everything, but I want to see some animals, and the animals didn't know that you couldn't come inside, or they did and they were just shy. So we got to walk around and see things, but it wasn't as much fun. So what does that have to do with anything? I'll tell you. Today we're going to go to the zoo. Woohoo! I'm going to read a book. I love me some Dr. Seuss, and Dr. Seuss wrote a story about going to the zoo. If I ran the zoo way back in 1950. That's even older than me. So, come on. Do you like to go to the zoo? Now, it's a big book, so I'm going to have a little trouble holding things up, but I'm going to try. Look at that. He's at the zoo. They got lions at the zoo. I have a lion around here somewhere, but I'd be lying if I knew where it was. So, we're going to start with here. If I Ran the Zoo, originally published in 1950. So I'm not lying. It's a pretty good zoo, said young Gerald McGrew, and the fellow who runs it seems proud of it too. You don't see people dressed like that at the zoo anymore. But if I ran the zoo, said young Gerald McGrew, I'd make a few changes. That's just what I'd do. Hear the rhythm in Dr. Seuss? It's the best. The lions and tigers and that kind of stuff they have up here now are not quite good enough. You see things like these in just any old zoo, they're awfully old-fashioned. I want something new. I like when people say, oh, I've been to the zoo, I already saw those animals. So, come follow me. We'll go somewhere new. So I'd open each cage and I'd unlock every pen, let the animals go and start over again. And somehow or other, I think I could find some beasts of a much more unusual kind. It's Dr. Seuss, so you know they're going to be unusual. A 4-footed lion's not much of a beast. The one in my zoo will have 10 feet at least. 5 legs on left and 5 more on the right. Then people will stare and they'll say, what a sight. The new keeper Gerald's quite keen. That's the gall-darndest lion I've ever seen. Love how Seuss makes up the word gall-darndest. When you're writing, if you're at school, you can make stuff up. If you're just learning how to read English, that is not really a word, but it's a Dr. Seuss word, so it's a fun word, gall-darndest. My new Zoo McGrew Zoo will make people talk. My new Zoo McGrew Zoo will make people gawk at the strangest odd creatures that ever did walk. I'll get for my zoo a new sort of hen who roosts in another hen's top knot, and then, see, it's up in the top knot, and then another one roosts in the top knot of his, and another in his, and another in his, and so forth and upward and onward. Gee whiz. Boop, 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 boop. But that's just a start. I'll do better than that. They'll see me next day in my zookeeper's hat, coming into my zoo with an elephant cat. They'll be so surprised they'll all swallow their gum. Don't swallow your gum. They'll ask when they see me, my strange animals come, where do you suppose he gets things like that from? His animals all have such very odd faces. I'll bet he must hunt them in rather odd places. I never thought about how they got the animals to the zoo. And that's what I'll do, said young Gerald McGrew. If you want to catch beasts you don't see every day, you have to go to places quite out of the way. You have to go to places no others can get to. You have to get cold, and you have to get wet too. Up past the North Pole where the frozen winds squeal, I'll go and I'll hunt in my Skeagle mobile and bring back a family of what do you know? And that's how my new zoo, McGrew Zoo, will grow. Try saying that one again. And that's how my Nuzu Magruzu will grow. Woo! I'll hunt in the mountains of Zamba Matant with helpers who all wear their eyes at a slant. Oh, so it must be Zamba Matant with helpers who all wear their eyes at a slant and capture a fine fluffy bird called the bustard who only eats custard with sauce made of mustard. Mustard on custard. Ugh. Also a very fine beast called the flustered, who only eats mustard with sauce made of custard. Disgusting. I'll catch 'em in caves, and I'll catch 'em in brooks, and I'll catch 'em in crannies, and I'll catch 'em in nooks. That you don't read about in geography books. I'll catch them in countries that no one can spell, like the country of Mada Fapada Fapel. In a country like that, if a hunter is clever, he'll hunt up some beasts that you never saw ever. Ooh, that's a fun country. I'll load up 5 boats with a family of jotes whose feet are like cows but wear squirrel skin coats and sit down like dogs but have voices like goats, excepting that they can't sing with very high notes. Whew. This book is heavy. Hold on. Shift. Okay? Now, let me hold it up this way. Ta-da! And then I'll go down to the wilds of Nantucket and capture a family of lunks in a bucket. Then people will say, now I like that boy heaps. His Nuzu Magruzu is growing by leaps. He captures them wild and he captures them meek. He captures them slim and he captures them sleek. What do you suppose he will capture next week? I'll capture one tiny, I'll capture one cute. I'll capture a deer that no hunter would shoot. A deer that's so nice he could sleep in your bed. Ew, don't sleep with a deer. If it weren't for those horns that he has on his head. Well, that would get in the way. Look at that horn. How you gonna get that anywhere in the house? Whew. And speaking of horns that are just a bit queer, I'll bring back a very odd family of deer. A father, a mother, 2 sisters, a brother, whose horns are connected from one to the other, whose horns are so mixed that they can't tell them apart, can't tell where they end, can't tell where they start. Each deer's mighty puzzled, he's never yet found if his horns are hers or the other way around. I'll capture them fat and I'll capture them scrawny. I'll capture a scragglefoot mulligatawny. I'll have mulligatawny the soup. A high-stepping animal fast as the wind from the blistering sands of the desert of Zin. This beast is the beast that the brave chieftains ride when they want to go fast to find someplace to hide. A mulligatawny is fine for my zoo, and so is a chieftain. I'll bring back one too. In a far western part of southeast North Dakota lives a fine animal called the Loda. I'll capture one who is even much finer in the northeastern west part of South Carolina. How does Seuss think of these things? When people see him, they'll say, now, by thunder, this Nuzu Magruzu is really a wonder. He's kind of cool looking. Boom, boom, boom. I like the hair. Whew. Some beasts are quite friendly, but still in some lands, some beasts are too dangerous to catch with bare hands. For those that are ugly and vicious and mean, I'll build a bad animal catching machine. It's rather expensive to build such a kit, but with it, a hunter can never get bit. That's important. Look at that thing. A zoo should have bugs, so I'll capture a thwirl whose legs are snarled up in a terrible snarl. That's a snarl. This is a thwirl. If I don't have a context clue, I can use the pictures. And then I'll go out and I'll capture some chugs, some keen shooter, mean shooter, bean shooter bugs. Boom, I like to be that. Keen shooter, mean shooter, bean shooter bugs. I'll go to the African Isle of Yurka. I don't think there's really one. And bring back a tizzle-top tufted mazurka and carry a kind of a canary with quite a tall throat. His neck is so long if he swallows an oat. For breakfast the first day of April, they say it has to go down such a very, very long way that it gets to his stomach the 15th of May. Whoa, that's a long throat. What if it gets stuck in his throat? Okay, I'll bag a big buck who is very surprising, a feller who has a propeller for rising. and zooming around, making cross-country hops from Texas to Boston with only 2 stops. Now that sort of thing for a bug is just tops. And when I've caught him, the next thing you know, I'll go and I'll capture a wild tic-tac-toe with X's that win and with zeros that lose. He'll look mighty good in the zoos of McGrew's. Whew. I'll bring back a gusset, a gherkin, a gasket, and also a gooch from the wilds of Nantasket. And 8 Persian princes will carry the basket, but what their names are, I don't know, so don't ask it. Clever. In a cave in Khartoum lives a beast called the gnat that no other hunter's been able to catch. He's hidden for years in his cave with a pout, and no one's been able to make him come out. But I'll coax him out with a wonderful meal that's cooked by my cooks in a cooker-mobile. They'll fix up a dish that is just to his taste, 3 chicken croquettes made of library paste. Ew. Now, if you're younger than me, not a lot of you know what library paste is, but it's gross. Then sprinkle with peanut shucks, pickled and spiced, then bake at 600 degrees and then iced. It's mighty hard cooking to cook up such a feast, but that's how the Nuzu Magruzu gets beasts. He wins them over by their tummies. Whew, I'll go to the faraway moons of Tobsk, near the river of Nobsk, and I'll bring back an obst, a sort of a kind of a thingamabobsk, who only eats rhubarb and corn on the cobsk. Then people will flock to my zoo in a mobsk. McGrew, they will say, does a wonderful jobs. He hunts with such vim and he hunts with such vigor. His Nuzu Magruzu gets bigger and bigger. And speaking of birds, there's the Russian Paluski, whose headski is redski and belly is blueski. I'll get one of them for my Zooski Magruski. Then the whole town will gasp, why this boy never sleeps. No keeper before ever kept what he keeps. There's no telling what that young fellow will do. And then to just show them, I'll sail to Katu and bring back an itkutch, a preep, a nurkle, a nerd, a pro, and a seersucker too. Wait, let me do that again. An itkutch, a preep, a nurkle, a nerd, a pru, and a seersucker too. Whoa, try to get those beasts in your zoo. Or create a beast of your own. I'll hunt in the jungles of Hipponohungus and bring back a flock of the wild Bippobungus. Bipponobungus, and the Bipponobungus from Hipponohungus and are better than those in the Dipponodungus and smarter than those out in Nippononungus, and that's why I'll catch them in Hipponohungus instead of those others in Nungus and Dungus. And people will say when they see these bips bounding, this zookeeper, newkeeper, simply astounding. He travels so far that you'd think he would drop. When do you suppose this young fellow will stop? I don't know, but it's hurting my lips right now. Stop? Well, I should, but I won't stop until I've captured the Phizum-a-Wizum-a-Dill, the world's biggest bird from the island of Wark, who only eats pine trees and spits out the bark. And boy, when I get him back home to my park, the whole world will say young McGrew's made his mark. He's built a zoo better than Noah's whole ark. These wonderful, marvelous beasts that he chooses have made him the greatest of all the McGrewses. McGrew Zoo, woohoo! Wow, they'll all cheer. This zoo must be worth. It's the gall-darndest zoo on the face of the earth. Ta-da! Yes, that's what I'd do, said young Gerald McGrew. I'd make a few changes if I ran the zoo. Boom. Ta-da! Here's a bunch of animals that never were. This is some animals that Dr. Seuss never did. He created sculptures that combine different parts of animals. Check those out. The man was creative. I give him props. To be that creative, he is such a genius with words and tongue twisters and fun drawings. Whew, I would go to young Mr. McGrew's zoo, would you? I made a rhyme. So, I wish I could have seen that zoo with my grandson. I saw the zoo here. Love our zoo here in my city, but I want to go back when it's open fully. I hope you enjoyed that. If you're just learning how to read bigger books And our kids, you want to read a fun book and practice your fluency? If I Ran the Zoo is a great book. You might have it somewhere in your bookshelf. If you're just learning to practice English and fluency and get the beat of some things, great book. Always go with Dr. Seuss. Thank you so much for joining me. Had a great time. Hope you enjoy the summer or winter, wherever you are. Stay cool and remember to read, have fun, treat others the way you want to be treated. And thanks again for joining me, friends. See you later. Peace.